thank you everyone for coming. This is a new format called Talk About. In this case, we're going to talk about formations with Retep from 725.
Hey guys, this is Retep, or you could just say Peter, but my name is backwards, so it was just a little. It sounds Egyptian, but it's just my name backwards. But okay, so I'm from 725. I'm in 737 now, and I just felt like I've had some conversations with Mental and with some, everybody from all these different nations, and the overriding theme is that we should have things that we talk about when we have live chats and have some good dialogues around things that matter instead of complaining about non-merges or civil war here, civil war there. So I thought it would be good to just get some people together, a group of people together, and talk about which formations work best in single combat, what works best in Doom's Iron Grip, Mother, Mother of Doom, and what works best in uranium mines, what works best in group battles, that type of thing, and what works best on defense, because some of the troops that work best on attack, some of they don't work the best on defense, and some of the things that work on defense don't work best on attack. So we should just talk about that. So I think to begin, I was testing specifically, and I'll share my screen is what I'll do. I was testing different formations, and sometimes when I'm talking with my own people and my own alliance, I am sharing my screen and then stopping it or taking a picture of it. And then we would talk about what beats what or what's beating on what, So can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so recently Cowboy and I were together. We were working on different formations, things like that, okay? And so this is probably one of my more favorite formations right here, and I'm going to stop it. And this isn't a complete formation because I'm not buffed, but I'm getting distracted because I can hear people coming in. So I'm going to... How do you watch the screen? You go into Discord?
Yeah, I'm in Discord.
Yeah.
So there's a box. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying that just tap the box that says live on the corner.
Watch stream. Okay.
To see the watch.
Oh, there we go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. So okay, I'm gonna go to one of my attack that I have with Taz. Okay. And so I'm gonna take a picture of this right here. I'm gonna stop it for a second. Actually, I'm gonna go back and get a better version of it. Sometimes when you're going into an attack, it's good to just keep playing it and then stop for a second and then take a picture of it. So if you're trying to attack somebody, and notice I was lazy here and he's got a full 5 right here. Okay. And I've only got 4, okay, including zombie, right? But what happens is my Titans need to stay alive. And if the opponent's Titans are stronger than mine and they have a higher HP, higher defense, well then they're very likely going to outlast mine. Unless their formation is weak, and I can immediately start attacking their Titans from the get. And how that's going to happen is just aligning up my formation in such a way where my lightning can tag some things here and take out this back row, or take out the mid row, or take out the back row. Okay. And once the back row is down, well then
The
it's
Titans are
immediate
next.
that the Titans will start to collapse. Okay. But in this situation, the reason why this formation is the 2-5-3, the reason why this is the favorite is because the Lightning, if you start over, let's assume that there's 5 bounces. Let's assume that Taz has 5 bounces and I have 5 bounces. And if we're talking about Lightning, we're talking about the male Titan trying to kill this mid row, okay? And then once it kills the mid row, then it starts to attack the back row. And then it starts to attack and get closer and closer to the Titans, and then it starts taking out the Titans. But the reason why this is such a critical thing is because once this guy goes down, then it really you'll notice my Titans start to get hit a little bit. So I think it's an important thing that everybody's formation is lined up in such a way. And it's weird. Sometimes if I have an axeman right here, if I have like an axe sitting right there, it shifts the opponent's formation in such a way where his Titan immediately they start attacking my Titan. And so there's no real way for me to defeat somebody stronger than me unless I can tweak my formation in such a way where I can immediately start attacking their male Titan. And if I can immediately attack their male Titan and defeat their male Titan, well, then a lot of their stats are, reduced and things like that. And the interesting thing is because of all of this plane equipment, because of the revival of the Titan or a revival of, the warplane or the Titan, then it really changes things so much, and you have to change your formation due to all of it, all of the reductions, knowing what beats what. So I figured I would start off in the beginning by just reviewing what is a great, I think everybody should pay attention to, what troop does what,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody pays attention to overshoot. And then, like if you're a long ranger, you never sit there and go, okay, let's focus on what the rocket does, and then let's pay attention right here to the range, And so if the range is 2.5, well then in order for this rocket to be attacking my back row, a couple things have to happen. I'm gonna try to see if I can find a mid-ranger here, but I don't have too many attacks with mid-rangers. Ranger situation here, okay? If they've got a rocket, they have to go through my shredder, and then they have to go through the shredder, or they have to go through these guys in order to get, let's say that the rocket's over here. The rocket's got to get in within 2.5 distance to begin attacking my cannons.
The back row. Yeah.
And so as you're creating your formation and you're becoming frustrated at somebody beating you, you should pay attention to the fact of, okay, well, what's going to get at their rocket the fastest? Okay, well, sometimes increasing rockets inside of your formation, even though you're a long range build, sometimes increasing rockets just to get at their back row will help you, because once you defeat their back row, then you can immediately start attacking their Titans. And everybody knows that once you attack their Titans and their Titans are down, well, then everything else folds. Everything's nice and squishy. And so,
Yeah.
and sometimes
all the buffs the Titans provide are gone by that
That's
point.
right. That's right. And so I think it's an important thing for people to not necessarily go with whatever you're like. If you're a long ranger or if you're a mid ranger or whatever, you have to tweak your formation so you can beat your opponent. And so right now what we're talking about is we're talking about your opponent in the mines or your opponent in void if you're like a single combat city, that type of thing. Like if you're trying to beat somebody, however, in a group battle, well then your formation's entirely different. And so we can get into stat damage averaging and things like that. But for right now, we're just talking about what beats what. So I think it's important that everybody goes to to their factory in their camp and then say, all right, well, what does the cannon do? Okay, so cannon. Okay, so everything everybody thinks. I can't tell you how many long range people I've talked to that think that cannons only hit one target, but they don't. They have splash damage. So that's why everybody says that it's a. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can.
That's
Yeah, I can
yeah.
hear you.
All right. I started hearing echo. That's why everybody. That's why everybody sits there and is wondering why they're not winning in a certain battle. But for example, EMPs. Do EMPs hit one target or two targets? What do they focus on? What's the first thing that an EMP cannon hits or attacks? And if you're not having this conversation with everybody in your alliance all the time, well, then everybody's formation's not going to get better. And it's so frustrating watching people go to a battle and they post a battle where they lose and they're bringing, 20 troops to a battle when, there's a kill 1, kill 2, kill 3, kill 4 showing up, So, I think a lot of the time EMPs, when I'm hitting something, this is focusing on the front line. It's hitting front line majority. And it hits something real hard, real fast, but it's nice and squishy. And so these things fall so fast, which is another reason why I don't like them as much as I like cannons. Does anybody else have a huge amount of success with EMPs besides Woody? Because Woody swears by these things.
Just a second. I don't know why, but I can't see your screen. I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I can't either.
But I can't see your screen.
I can't either.
Okay. I'm going to. Yeah, something happened where I could hear it echo.
I can
And it
see it
stopped.
just fine.
All I see is Facebook, Viber, and something else is what I see social networking.
Stream failed to start.
But with the cannons, I've noticed I do a lot better without snipers, just cannons in the back. I use tanks up front, shredders up front, and my zombies max up front, and I do a lot better. But mid-range fighters still whoop me no matter what.
You guys hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, I left and then I'm gonna come back in. Something happened where it doesn't share the screen as well, or it's not sharing the screen any further. But I think I think everybody should share some of their formations. One of my happiest formation is a 2-5-3 formation, where I'm bringing 10, 15,000 shredders, and then I'm bringing 200,000 ish tanks, and then I'll just bring 2,000 to 3,000 of the mid row, maximum zombies, and then I'll bring 15,000 shielders, and then maybe 5 to 10,000 EMPs, just to kind of just to do some instant, damage in the very beginning, and then maximum cannons, and then my Titans seem to stay alive a little bit longer. Cowboy would laugh at me. He says that my warplane is built in such a way where it's like Popeye, where my lab is almost, level 30 on everything, but the level of my plane is level 40. So it dies so dang fast that the true benefits of the lab are defeated because it dies so fast. So I think there's so much balance in the game that you have to have, that you can't just focus on the lab. You have to focus on the level at the same time. You have to focus on all of these different things at the same time. So, mid range, for whatever reason, my page is not allowing me to share it right now. So maybe I'll hop out in a second and I'll try to reboot it and then come back in and reshare the page. But mid range, to beat a mid ranger, you have to defeat their titans. And another thing is that most mid range power hits have these crit hits that land every couple seconds, 2 or 3 seconds, right? So you have to give them more things to hit. If you give them less things to hit, well, then they're going to start hitting on your cannons. And so beating a mid-ranger, besides just having like mid-range weaken or damage to mid-range or any of the other things, but beyond that, which nobody actually wants to do. Everybody wants to focus on long range. So if you're trying to focus on beating mid-range from a formation perspective, then you have to give the mid-range more to shoot at. And you have to understand that the mid-ranger is going to stack his titans heavier. The smartest thing for a mid-ranger to do is to build up his titans lightning, so that way his lightning can defeat more of the filler troops, the troops that you bring 2,000 here, 2,000 there. But if a mid-ranger really, really wants to, defeat those things, it will help his rocket attack your cannons faster, because his lightning will defeat your filler troops. So the best thing for you to do is to have a formation that's built in such a way where the Titan can go through twice a lightning, every 10 seconds, I believe, that lightning comes through and hits, right? So if you have it, 1 through 9, then it's 3 bounces. 9 through 19 or something like that is 4 bounces, and 19 above is 5 bounces. So if the lightning escalates in terms of damage and in terms of bounces, the more you have the lightning leveled up, well, then you should suspect that the mid-ranger is going to level that up, primarily in the very beginning, and then use his rockets or his havocs to, attack that, backline pretty quickly. So the best thing that you can do is to put more things in front of it, like 2,000 of everything, so that way when the mid rangers, troops, havocs, or rockets are using their crit hit, they're hitting that crit hit on bikes, or they're hitting that crit hit on rockets. And so the lightning comes through first, it attacks the troop type. And let's say that you've got 2,000 troops. You want it to get down to like 1,000 or 700 or 800, and then have the mid-rangers crit hit attack a bike that are like 400 or 500 or 800. So it's wasted on that troop type. Does that make sense to everybody? And if it doesn't, ask questions, because, I don't know who's following it, who's not following it, or if it's appreciated or not appreciated. But if it's waste,
appreciated, and actually we have a question from.
Yeah, absolutely, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I think let's go to the question real quick to see if.
So the question is in the chat. I don't know if you can see it, or do you rather I read it out loud? So the question
Attack a
is,
city.
how do you figure out the right number of MR fillers, Titan lightnings, etc.? Y shielders as the LR filter. Troop to protect Titans.
So I'll break that up into the different parts that it's talking about. Okay, so like to decide how much you should have in fillers should really be predicated off of testing, because every city's different. Everybody's, debuffs are different, everybody's weakens different, everybody's resistance are different. Everything's different for everybody, right? So like if you have a mid-range HP of 2, well, you're going to need to have like 30,000 of 30,000 of the mid-range of everything, because your mid-range HP sucks so bad that lightning's going to destroy it. So you need to have your HP high enough in the mid-range, which is why it's so critical. Your alliance buffs of your alliance hall is so critical. Everybody thinks that it's not critical, but it is. It's critical because it's buffing the weakest people in your alliance. It's making the weakest link of your team stronger. And so you need to focus on your war stats of your alliance hall, so that way your mid-range defense, which nobody ever really cares about, or your mid-range HP is boosted to the hilt as much as it possibly can. Then when it comes time for you to have frenzy or void, or for you to have something that matters, you need to make sure that your commander skills are set in such a way where you're ready to go. Everything else, it doesn't matter. You could switch back to, like a hybrid build of the commander skill where you have some fuel up, so you can attack you can attack the zombies and have your fuel up, between 90 and 95, they say. But when it comes time for you to fight and for it to matter, you should have everything stacked in such a way where when you're attacking something, and you test it in the mines, right? So you go to the mines and you test it. And if you take, let's say, 1,500 gunners to a fight, and you go into the battle and you see a kill 1 pop up, well, why is it a kill 1? Pause it, record it, and if you're not sure on how to record, let's say that you're using an iPhone. On the top right-hand side of your page, you'll scroll down on the top right-hand side, and there's this little button on the bottom left-hand side that says screen record, and you record the battle. And so you record the battle so that way you can pause it, and then you can see what damage does what to what, and then you can see what killed what, and you just play it over and over again and test it over and over again. Well, chances are, if you bring 1,500 gunners to a battle and it's killed right off the bat, and there's a kill 1 above the Titan, and that's the only troop type that dies when the lightning strikes, and it's a kill 1, well, chances are you have not enough gunners. And the reason why you want the gunners there is not because they're attacking, it's not because they're going to do a whole hellacious amount of damage. Everybody knows that Havocs and rockets are where it's at, right? And even bikes do some pretty decent damage, but gunners are pretty much just a filler, so that way you can force the mid-rangers or even the long rangers to attack that first and kill that troop type first before it begins to get after your back row or begins to get after your Titans. Okay? So you test it. The real answer is you test it. You go into the mines and you attack something as strong as you or stronger than you, and you use your current commander skills. And if there's no kill 1, kill 2, or kill 3, well, then you're good. If you have a kill 1, kill 2, kill 3, kill 4 against you, and you still win, God bless it. But chances are, the moment you have a kill 1, kill 2, kill 3, kill 4, you should know that you screwed up. And so you need to fix your formation, not only in single battle, but in, group battles as well. So I'll get into that. I'll get into group battles and I'll get into single battles. But for single battles, if you're trying to beat a mid-ranger and you're trying to identify how much troop type to bring, the best thing for you to do is to test it. and then increase your HP in that category. And the more you increase your HP in your defense in that category, like mid-range defense or mid-range HP, well then the less you have to bring in order for you to keep that troop type alive. But again, you have to understand that also should coincide with how strong the other person's Titan is, because if the other person's male Titan is juiced up to 23, 24, 25, 26, well then chances are it's still gonna break through 2,000 troops. So generally speaking, I'll tell the average player to bring about 2,000. Never bring 500, never bring 1,000. The only time you want to bring 1,000 is if you're like Woody or you're like Holbrook or something like that, and then you can get away with it. But if you're just the average spender or a pretty good size spender, then 2,000 is pretty much the, and I'll tell you what, do 2,000 and then dial it back. Keep testing it and then dial it back. And then you'll know what to do. That way you can bring more shielders, and I'll switch to that other topic of the shielders. The reason the shielders are not.
Sorry, before you change topic, I had a question for you. So you were talking about adjusting your fleet in the uranium mines when you're attacking someone, how you should go about looking at what the enemy has and adjust your fleet accordingly so you can kill them. But the question is a little bit different. So it's more, okay, so what if you don't know what your enemy is? So if you're in the uranium mines but you have a defense fleet, how much different is that defense fleet from the ones you were just explaining? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I think he may have dropped off. He mentioned he was going to do that and swing back in.
Okay. Because I can't hear him.
Maybe while he's coming back in, we can talk quickly, recap of some of the stuff that he was saying about the importance of testing, some key thoughts that or lessons that I had from that. It was great info, Retep, if you're back on, and I'll shut up when you get back here. But all right, I'm done. I thought it was great info.
No. Say what you had to say, because sometimes if I get a phone call, it goes right to my phone, so I can't even warn you guys that I'm gone. But what were you saying, Big Bird?
I was just saying that some of the takeaways that I had from what you were saying is do screen recordings of your battles to slow them down so you can kind of really dial in on what's happening. So that was a really great point. My question for the mid-range filler, I thought the point that you made about, if we're talking about what specifically should people be looking at, you talked about the Titan Lightning kill number. You don't want to see that kill number show up at the beginning of the battle. So if your filler troops are getting killed, then you got to adjust upward to make sure that and I think the goal is that they survive the first Titan Lightning hit, die in the next 10 seconds, so they aren't fodder for a second Titan
That's right.
Lightning hit. Yeah. So those are some of the lessons that I took away. So thanks for the discussion, and I will go back to being quiet now.
Yeah, I think you should use a cuss word at yourself if you have a kill 1, kill 2, kill 3. Like you should expect to lose the battle if you have a kill 1, kill 2, kill 3. You should expect it. And if you still win it, it's because your Titans are too darn strong, or your warplane is too darn strong. But like if you're of equal capacity or you're of equal strength, then chances are you're gonna end up losing. You know. So, okay. So let's talk about defense. Defense is kind of hard because how many and let's go back to the testing. Okay, you should have somebody in the mines that you attack on a regular basis, and you guys are growing at the same pace. You should stalk people in the mines, and you should have a person that when you beat him and then he beats you, and then you're changing your formation all the time so you can try to defend him and you can try to beat him, and you're trying to get it to a point where you can not only beat him in the mines, but then you can defend against him in the mines. And we all know that it's easier to attack something than it is to defend it. But when you go to attack something, there's a formation for offense and then there's a formation for defense. And a lot of people don't bring enough axes on a defensive situation. It's hard though, because remember, you have to recognize that you don't want them to immediately attack your Titans. And so sometimes some formations are in such a way where they'll immediately begin attacking your Titans. And so from a defensive perspective, axes will really, really, really help. And I would encourage you to go read what the axes do. They're not an offensive type of troop. They're a defensive type of troop. And so immediately after going into a uranium mine, the best thing for you to do is for you to change your formation. And it's the funniest thing in the world to change your formation, and the opponent thinks that they're just going to buff up and attack you and win. But because you changed your formation, they still lose. That's the best feeling in the world. So I would encourage you to have a formation that beats somebody and then try to switch over to a defensive type of strategy and then still win that. And I think that's probably one of my better feelings, is for me to be able to beat somebody and then on defense for them to be able to lose to me after like over trooping me. And what I mean by that is, how many times have you beat somebody in the mines where you beat them unbuffed and then they expand, they do expansion, and they do all their buffs, and then they come back after you and they kick you out of the mines 4 hours later or whatever, right? But nothing's better than for you to go and attack them, change your formation, and then for them to buff to the hilt and then still lose. And so the only way that can really be done effectively using formations is by testing defensive formations and finding somebody that you can buddy up with in the mines to where you can do that. And you can do that in nation. I mean, you don't have to do that across nations. You could do that in nation and just say, listen, I need you to attack me and see if this formation works better for me or not, But so yeah, the mid-range stuff, it's complicated with mid-rangers. You just need to know that it's oftentimes a lot easier to beat somebody that's stronger than you than that's a mid-ranger if you have a lot of their fillers. And then, mid-rangers, in the plane format or in the plane lab, having the disruptors is such a critical thing for you to do, is having disruptors against their crit hit. And if you can disrupt their troop type and they can't do the crit hit, that's a wonderful thing. You want to keep them disrupted longer, and you want to keep them away from that crit hit from you. You don't want their crit hit to be attacking your cannons. So you have to keep the shredder alive, and you have to keep your mid-range alive. But if the shredder is alive, then from my understanding, and I'm not the expert in everything, I'm just a regular old spender. And I came from 725. I'm in 737 now. I'm not the expert in everything, but from my understanding, if the shredder is still alive, then the rocket or the Havoc is not banging away at your cannons, and that's what you don't want. So as we're talking about switching to C44, or as we're, everybody's saying that it's going to switch things and make things a little bit more valuable for the mid-ranger in certain areas, because the rockets are coming back, but, the shredder's coming back. And so yeah, I think that's going to change everybody's fleet formation up a little bit. And so I want to encourage everybody to be really quick about trying to adjust that. But because as the shredder is alive, if it can't be attacking your cannon, and sometimes people will argue that fact. And so go to the battle and look at the exact moment that the rocket or the havoc is beginning to hit your cannon. You can't miss it because they hit so hard. So they're going to blow up damage on your cannon. They're going to take chunks of damage out of your cannons when they start hitting your cannons. And so, again, record the battle, and you can just, use your thumb to go forwards and backwards on the recording. And even if you're on a computer, you could slow it down and make it to where you can just pause it. And then there's this little I button on the battle, and for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to share my screen right now. I think I'm going to have to reboot my phone and then come
I'm
back
sharing
in.
it. But
Yeah. So I see what you're doing here, right? So are you on a phone?
no, I'm on a PC.
Okay. So on a phone device, you can hit that. It's a little circle, and it looks like a little target emblem.
This?
By
The reset?
No, it's on a phone. It's on a phone that you would do that, and it allows you to be able to record the battle sequence from your phone, and it's easy to do that on a computer, and then you can slow it down, and then you hit that little I, and then you try to identify what is hitting what. So redo the battle sequence. So right off the bat, you should be knowing, okay, when I'm looking at this battle, I'm looking at where the lightning hits. So hit reset again. Right off the bat, kill 1. Kill 2. Kill 2. So go to that and pause it as it's attacking it. Rewind it again. And then pause right there. So
How do
you're
I close
hitting.
this?
If you don't know how to pause it
I don't.
on your phone,
Oh, I meant
ev-
on the
ev-
PC. I don't.
well, on your PC there should be a pause button, or do a screen record, or do like a
Yeah.
a snap or a snippet of it, and then record it that way. Do some type of overlay screen record where you can record it. It's
Yeah.
so important to everybody that you do that, because then you know what kills what. From
To
the
make a
looks of it, you
video and
killed the
slow it
gunner, and then when you pause it, you can see the lightning trail. Go look at the lightning trail in the very beginning. Reset it, and then right there you're killing the gunner, and then it looks like you killed something else, and I think you killed the stormtrooper. Reset it one more time. No, you killed the I think armored soldier is what you did. I think it was the armored soldier. You killed the gunner and the armored soldier. Okay? And so they didn't bring enough of that. And then you got to kill 1. And so what you're doing is you're hop out of this and go to your Titan. Go to your mill Titan.
By the way, don't take that as a good formation, because to be honest, I sent everything I had.
Well,
There was no more troops I could send at that point.
The important thing is not how badass you are or not badass you are. It's like what does what, and what does what, and why does formation matter? And I think when we're doing podcasts and we're griping about everything, I think it's so there's not a lot of content, there's not a lot of value in it, and I think the more the players in this game.
I guess he had another phone call.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so once they do, once you start paying attention to this as a group, as a general population, this game is going to get so fun. because your fleet size is going to get bigger, and the bigger your fleet size gets, the more you're going to need HP to be higher inside of mid range, the more you're going to need HP to be higher in long range, and the more troops you can bring, and the more you could be a hybrid, mid range / long range, and it's going to get cool, and it's going to it's really going to boil down to formation. And so, if you're looking at lightning, go to the equipment real quick, and then click on that middle one. No, not that one. The first one. And then click on that guy.
This?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't upgrade it. Okay, so destructive lightning. Read that out loud.
Launches one time every 10 seconds, dealing a total of 180% plus 21%, so 201. Damage to 3 enemy troops with the least total HP. Total damage won't change when the number of enemy troops is less than 3.
Okay, so it's people that are paying attention to the game. They'll say that's 3 bounces. In other words, that's 3 bounces. And when you escalate that above 9, then you'll have 4 bounces. When you escalate it above 19, you'll have 5 bounces. You want to have as many bounces as you possibly can, because you want to have as many attempts as you possibly can. Now the thing is that this just does damage. This in and of itself only does damage. So now go to the second piece of equipment in the Titan. So now click on that. Now read that.
After casting the destructive lightning, increase the total attack of all friendly units by 5%. Every one enemy troop type killed by the destructive lightning additionally increases the total attack by 0.8%. Duration 5 seconds.
So would you agree, if you kill the troop type with your lightning, that Thor increases your attack?
Yes.
For 5 seconds. And all friendly
By
units.
Yes.
Right? For 5 seconds.
By 4%.
Right. So the more this is leveled up, the more beneficial it is. So in all of the equipment of the Titans, the first thing sort of supports the second thing. And especially on the male, it does that particularly. So go to the next one. So we would agree Thor makes it stronger when you kill the troop type. So now weaken, read that.
Destructive lightning hits the target and simultaneously weakens its attack, reducing all its damage dealt by 4%, duration 10 seconds.
Okay, so all of its damage, okay? It's not just long range or mid range, it's front line, it's everything. It reduces its damage by by 4%. So when the lightning attacks and kills the troop type, then it makes you attack harder, and it also will, if it's weakened, if you've got a weakened engaged as well, then it makes your opponent weaker.
Yeah.
So, everybody will say you need to have long range damage reduction.
So you get 4% stronger while the enemy gets 4% weaker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so every time that thing is banging, you want to have as many bounces as you possibly can, and you're hoping and praying that some idiot is going to join the battle in a group battle. That's going to join the battle with 500 bikes or 500 gunners. So that's why when they're doing a gift box attacks, it's so critical that the group battle formation is perfect. You have to tell your alliance, you have to say, this is the formation that I'm expecting you to have. If you don't come to the battle with this formation, I'm not going to be happy. In fact, you're going to get demoted if you don't come to the battle with this style of formation. Because how many times have you guys gone into a battle that you were kicking somebody's rear end, and then 3 or 4 guys show up, and then all of a sudden you start losing? Really what's happening is your weakest players are showing up late with the wrong formation, feeding their kill 1, kill 2, kill 3, kill 4, and then it's like it bends you guys over, and it sucks. So the best thing that you can do is train your alliance to have the right formation from a group battle perspective. And if they don't know, and if you don't know quite yet what you want to do, you need to figure out how many people in your alliance are mid-range and how many people in your alliance are long-range. If you have 5 to 10 mid-rangers that can bang pretty good, and when I say bang pretty good, if it's like 1,200 plus mid-range attack, okay, well then your formation should be as such. Long range brings no mid-range at all. If you're a long-range player, you bring no mid-range troops at all, because all you're going to do is damage average against a mid-range attack. So if the mid-range attacks 1,700, let's say, and your mid-range attack is 500, well then the damage averaging is going to pull down the 1,700 to where it's not getting any kills. It's not doing what it was meant to do, which was to kill quick and fast. So if you're going into a group battle attack, you need to coach your team to say, listen, we've got 10 mid-range players here that are pretty dope. Don't bring any mid-range troops at all. And as I understand it, and I might be wrong, and please tip or somebody come in here and correct me, but if it's a mid-range player and you have like a T12 or a T13 troop, it gets damage average to the same troop level. So if someone else is bringing a T10 or T11 and somebody else has a T12, T13, then it's okay. But as a general rule, you want more mid-range players to bring maximum mid-range troops. So you have to bring maximum long-range troops. So for an example, if you've got 10 people attacking something and 5 are mid-range and 5 are long-range, well then the long-range player should bring no mid-range troops at all and should only bring long-range troops. And the mid-range player brings no long-range troops and maximizes on his mid-range troops. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Everybody's bringing forth their best troop type, and they're not getting any damage averaging, and so they're not going to have. You're going to destroy monsters that way. You know, if you're doing the math, if you've got 100 players and your average fleet size is 450, and you multiply that times 70 people or 80 people, well then you could have a pretty good average of how many troops you have versus the opponent, and then you've got all of the Titans that are stacking, and you've got all the warplanes that are stacking, and everything else. So it's pretty easy for you to do the math to figure out who you could defeat and who you couldn't defeat. But I will tell you that damage averaging is just a major multiplier effect on who you can kill and who you can't kill. If you're damage averaging, well then you're basically making your strongest players weaker, and you just don't want to do that. You want to amplify them, not bring them down, bring down their damage averaging. Okay? Who has questions about that?
I don't.
Okay, well, it's I think that's just not talked about enough. You know, I think we come into these podcasts and we don't have enough discussion about that type of stuff. So, you know, I think I got into group formations versus uranium formations. We talked about Titans. We talked about what the Titans lightning does. And we talked about gift box attacks. Actually, I didn't talk enough about that, so I'm gonna touch on that. If you do a gift box attack and your weakest player comes in with, 20 gunners, and 20 bikes and 20 rockets, they're at the very end of the battle sequence just giving the person's titans the ability to get amplified and to make us weaker, or to make you weaker, right? So you don't want that. The best thing for the last person to do in the battle is to probably show up with a big fat front line. So that way it skirts the battle up to the very beginning of the battle sequence. And forget about the mid range, forget about the back row, just bring a bunch of front line, because towards the end of the battle sequence, what's down at that point? Probably the front line. So what do you need? You need to skirt the battle up to the very beginning of it with a bunch of front line. So tell all your buddies that are late to the battle, don't bring any, 2 of this troop type or 10 of that troop type, because you're bending us over. Bring a heavy front line, show up and help us win the day. And then you'll have more successful battles. They'll be the hero, and then you can congratulate them for what they did. Instead of showing up late, you can congratulate them for pushing the battle back up to the front. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
Yeah.
And actually, we have another question. Formations depending on troop level, which type should be going into group defense?
Say that again. What should we be doing?
Formations depending on troop levels, which type should be going into group defenses? So if you're trying to defend as a group, which type of troop should you send based on your troop levels?
That's different and should be tested inside of every frenzy that you go to, by the way.
So the question comes from unknown, and she's asking if she should change officers to affect anything.
In group battles and you're defending,
yep,
you don't know who you're defending against. You don't know who's attacking. So the what I've told my alliance, because we don't have enough mid-rangers yet, we don't have enough powerful mid-rangers. So I'll usually say, bring 10,000, bring 35,000 shredders, 35,000 tanks on average, plus or minus your own build. Bring, 2,000 to 5,000 axes. Bring 2,000 to 5,000 armored soldiers. Bring, 2,000 of everything else that are mid-range. And then bring your, the shielders of something like 10 to 15,000 shielders, and then 2 to 5,000 EMP cannons, if that's whatever's your strongest troop type. So like, if it's T11s and T12s that you have, well then you don't have the cannons, the T13 cannons, right? So you have EMP cannons and T12s. So you might bring like 100,000 EMP cannons and 100,000 T11 cannons in that scenario. But as you're defending something, you should just know which troop type is better on defensive. So go read what an axe does. Go to the troop type and click on put your cursor on the little bubble of seeing what the troop type does, and bring a heavier amount of axes. And if you're coming early to the battle, yes. Right? Yes, that's exactly right. If you're going to defend, then you're really trying to use the same type of formation that you would use to defend in the mines. Except you don't know if it's going to be a mid-ranger or a long-ranger, so you're trying to play it safe. So you're trying to, have some filler troops in there, so that way it starts the battle over. Have you guys ever seen a battle where the battle goes on for a long while and then all of a sudden somebody enters into the battle, and the whole battle sequence starts all over again, and it's like, whoa, like it just like shoves the battle to the very beginning of the battle sequence. That's really important that happens. You want that to happen. You want it to start from the very beginning, because then they got to go through each troop type and each, kill one, kill two, and the mid row, and then they get to your back row, and it keeps the person's titans alive longer. So I can't say enough about that. So there was another question. There was another question in the chat from Blockhead. Hey man, it's good to see you around. So the question was what's the gift box attacks and why the gift box attacks matters, and the top right hand side of your page, you'll see that little
Gift
1
box.
day 22, and so when you call out a gift box attack, you'll say 0400, which is to say that when it gets to 0400, so in 5 seconds everybody goes. Or you could say at 0330 seconds, everybody goes. So that way you don't have to hit go 5 and then be a couple milliseconds late. Everybody knows that when that goes from 47 seconds or 45 seconds down to 30 seconds, at 30 seconds, you're banging. Everybody's going at the same time, and you're going as hard as you can. That's the gift box attack. And
Just to clarify, do you go like when the time hits is when you leave your city and you speed up as much as you can until you get to your target, or is that the time that you should arrive at your target?
that's when everybody goes. And you're mashing on speed about as fast as you can. And I feel like if you hit 50, if you hit the 50-second thing so many times,
Yeah, you
It
can be
just-
there in
you're
2 seconds
wasting
or
it.
3.
but I'm telling you, it doesn't work. I swear, if you hit 50 seconds and then hit 25 and then hit 50 seconds again, like I haven't known if this has been tested yet, but there's a way to hit these speeds to where you get there faster. If you just hit them so fast, it's almost like they don't work. So if you hit a 50-second, then hit a 25-second, then hit 50-second again, it's like you're forcing it to work. And it feels like I get there a little faster. But the point I am trying to make is that at 30 seconds, your tip should be in that thing. You should be banging into that thing as fast as you can.
Yep.
And whoever's showing up late, well, why are they showing up late? Should you be sending gifts to these people? Are they free to play players, or what's going on here? So and it's okay if they're free to play players. Maybe they need to be a little bit closer to the target so they don't have to use enough speed. They don't have to use as many
So
speeds.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to speed with me, because I do the free play with a little bit of money, I use 350s and then I finish it with the 25s because that's the most bang for my buck.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it gets me there with an average of everybody else.
And will you go to the store, the monthly store, where you can buy, like where you're gonna do the zombie kills, where you can do like let me see. Go to the store real quick that you're sharing.
I'll go.
Not this one, but over to the left. Go to the one. No, not that store. The shop where you're gonna, decide to buy speeds or buy, kill unlimited zombies or something like that. Where you're gonna buy a uranium card or you're gonna buy a gold card.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's right. So click on the next one over.
I get mine
So
on the.
will you click on benefits?
Yep.
Yeah, click on that one, and then scroll all the way down. All the people that are like fairly free to play should be buying that out. Buy the speed up, buy it out. like buy it for a month because it's cheap and you're going to get a bunch of speeds, and then it's the cheapest way to get speeds. And you get heal speeds and you get recruit speeds, and it's a pretty
Just-
decent way for you to be able to get what you need.
You get troop speeds as well? Oh, it tells you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look what it gives.
You do.
And you think that the 25 doesn't matter, but I'm highly suspicious. You click a 50%, then you bang a 25%, and then you bang a 50%, and then you're there. But if I hit 50%, it just, I'm not getting there any faster. It just doesn't seem like I'm getting there any faster.
So depending on the level of your shop, it gives you different amounts of things, but yeah, you get a speed every single day.
Yeah. So yeah, take a look at that. And we talked about uranium mines, we talked about offense, we talked about defense, we talked about fillers, we talked about weaken Thor, lightning, we talked about the Titan equipment that hits stuff. We talked about group battles, we talked about group defenses. I guess we could talk about, if you're going to defend, the person that you're defending should be switched over from Panda. This is a little bit of advice that I would say is whoever is going to be the trap cities of all of the first, second, and third alliances, everybody should know who those trap cities are. So ahead of Void, or ahead of Void, because you're not going to trap, in Frenzy, but ahead of Void, you should be saying, okay, what are the names of the 3 or 4 trap cities that are going to be trapping in first, second, and third alliances. So that way that way the major spenders don't want to smack into a trap they smack into their own nation's trap, right? But you should be having Kingsley instead of Panda, and you should be having the right types of 6 stars. You should be having city HP, city defense, city attack, because then it amplifies everybody that's going to defend you. So whoever's got a Kingsley that's leveled up to 55 that has city attack, city defense, city HP, that's the trap.
Sin-
That's a good trap.
Since
Don't
you're-
forget about F. Medici on defense for your city.
Yeah, sure. Like Skinny Medici should be 18, and if it's Skinny Medici is not 18, because Fat Medici's on attack and Skinny Medici's on defense. So if you're a trap, you should be hitting Skinny Medici and Kingsley, and those
Brave
people
Star?
should be like,
Would you
no,
either
no.
Morgan or Saki by Brave Star? If you're defending.
I think, defending, I think it'd be fine. Yeah, I
'Cause
think
in
Brave
that
Star's
case,
perfect.
Fleet size doesn't matter, right? So
Yeah, it doesn't matter, and you're only bringing into the battle what you need to bring into the battle to start the trap. So you shouldn't have to worry about, the only reason why it does matter is if Brave Star's not level 55 and if First Aid's not level 20, well then you got to worry about some deaths, more deaths. And even if you have First Aid at level 20, if Brave Star is not leveled up to 55, well, then the Mastery is not going to change the percentage in the right way to give you what you need. So I guess the perfect trap, it would be Brave Star.
Don't forget about Rockabelle right before the end of the battle. Self-saves troops too.
Yeah, I think Brave Star would be better for that if you're going to do something like that. But you should just
you do both, so you can max out your max wounded.
Yeah. I guess I'm lazy. I've the fact that you even said that woman's name, I can't even.
I know, man. It's a new
I don't even
one for
know.
everybody.
I don't know. But I think I'm just lazy in that way, and I'm more focused on First Aid. First Aid is what matters. You need First Aid because you should expect that someone's going to bang into a trap, and it's going to be one person, and they're going to do slaughter, and they're going to do Panda, right? So you're going to, have First Aid up as high as you could possibly have it. And I think Brave Star is great, but who has Brave Star? Who's a trap that has Brave Star level 55? You Usually someone that's a trap doesn't have Brave Star level 55. And or Kingsley level 55. So I think you got to really have some dedicated trappers out there. So, because there's so many
Well,
other things like,
you can still max out the breakthrough and not have it to a level 55.
on who?
On Brave Star.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
Mine's only a level 28, but it's got a breakthrough of 18. It's 24.5%.
Well, I'm talking about first aid. So if you have first aid and it's like level 10 and your Brave Star is level 29, well, the percentage of you're not going to get the right percentage in terms of conversion of wounded to kills.
Yeah, you should have Brave Star max breakthrough. You should have the first aid at 20. And then you could do the same thing with Rockabelle. You could put first aid on there, level 20, and she's got a max wounded. Like her level 1 max wounded is 16.65%. In a battle
Yeah,
Oh,
but
where you're potentially going to lose 6, 7, 800,000 troops. It's a big deal.
Her level 1 is 9.50.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really what you want, because that you're not sharing that. You're not sharing Rockabelle with your team. You're not.
We're talking about a defense on your city.
Yeah,
That's
but if you're defending on your city, you're only bringing your hospital capacity. You're not bringing a million troops, because they'll blow up your hospital, right? So
Yeah.
you're only going to bring 50 to 150,000 troops. And typically you want to have a spread of T4, T5, T6s, and you're only trying to get the battle to commence just long enough so that way everybody can pile into you. And you don't actually want to go into a defensive measure with people loaded up in your city. You want to act like an idiot, like you just accidentally dropped your bubble, and you're like an oopsie. Well, how do you do that? You could scout something and be completely obvious, or you could just, there's ways of being able to drop your bubble. Let's put it that way, and just looking like a.
You just set the rally on a farm.
You see what I'm saying?
Set the rally, take it down.
Yeah. So you take it down, and you don't look like you're accidentally scouting. You look like you're just a lazy person who fell asleep. That's what you want to do.
But I would never use that Rockabelle. That Rockabelle, no.
Yeah, Rockabelle is
if you're gonna do anything, Brave Star, and then I'm really debating leveling up Kingsley.
Yeah,
because
Kingsley.
I have the skills. I have his unworldlies now, and I've debated for a long time on leveling.
What's his unworldlies?
Well, I've got triple S's for most of the ones I'd want.
So what is it that you want?
What would you want?
Everything for the city.
Yeah.
City troops, city defense, city HP, towers, the whole 9.
Yep.
Because you're not doing it for yourself. When you're at trap, all you're doing is facilitating a battle to where you can kill a bunch of things.
I've debated. He's the level 1, and all my unworldlies are level 1. But I've debated.
So are they triple S's?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of cool. Yeah, and I don't care what city level you are. You could be a C41 and be a trap.
I'm C37.
Yeah, you're a nice squishy trap. You're actually the perfect trap. You're the first thing I want to bang into.
Yeah,
C37.
And I have almost 1 million T4 shredders.
Yeah. It's a great thing. But you remember, the only thing that you want to bring into a battle is your hospital capacity. So, and your city HP, city defense, all that stuff.
Yep.
I think cross-nation defense, melee defense, and cross-nation melee HP is pretty valuable. in that scenario, because you're keeping the battle sequence happening a little bit longer, but you're not sharing that with your friends.
Well, that's my other my. Really?
Nope.
Yeah, I guess you would be right. Yeah, you're right.
So it's the city stuff that matters,
Yep. Yeah,
So,
I have the city stuff, and then I have I do have a triple S cross nation melee defense.
Yeah. That sounds really nice. Actually, I wish we had more of that.
I've been debating on leveling it, and people have told me, don't do it. I'm like, you're crazy, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I
don't like to agree with Raz on too many things, but he used to say things like, yeah, it should be used for this type of situation, and I agree with him on that. It should be used for the right type of situation.
There's a reason we have it, right? There's a reason.
All Kingsley is the flip side coin of Panda.
Yes.
So
right.
That's the troop that you would change, right? You would change the troop for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm a firm believer of having that, and I think that you should do what you need to do to level that guy up. I think that would be a good thing for your team, especially if you're going to be a good trap. If you're interested in being a trap.
I mean, I had a pretty good one last 2 voids ago. It was the first time I ever tried to be a trap, and it actually won the void for us, and then I won void champion based off of it.
If you have a lot of troops and you could do, a recall all when everybody else is inside of you, after everybody's inside of you, after you know that you're going to win the battle, well then, yeah, I guess that could be a little bit of a safe bet, but I would be really careful about having all of your troops home and having them bang into you.
We just tested it because there was no max accounts we were going against. There was C41s and stuff, but there was no max accounts. I already had two of our biggest were already inside my base, and we had grinded and taken the lead in the void, so we were up. We started down almost 1 billion points, I think, and we had taken the lead by like 200 million. So everybody was kept posting things. I was like, listen, fuck it, let's just test this. Let's make them come to us. There's no way they're gonna have to come to us, right? So we set it up, and I had people on Discord and chat and watched, and I mean they sent a bunch of I wore a couple SOSs. I told people if it's just a single person, let it go. I'll just wear it. And so I took a couple SOSs to the face, but it didn't really hurt that bad. And then, they finally came, and everybody came in, and we murdered them. I mean, literally, I lost a bunch of lower level troops or whatever, but shit, who cares? That's what they're made for.
Yeah, what I would try to do is I would try to have it where there's some people that are circling you that are kind of weak. Let some of the weaker people because they'll pay attention to who the weaker people are. But a nice suspicious trap is when no one's inside of your city and you set a rally, you drop the bubble,
So you're saying don't be fogged.
Yeah, don't be fogged, and don't have people inside of your city.
It's gonna be tough to do because I fight during the event, so.
Yes, but don't let people inside of your city. Don't let your strongest players. Don't let them inside of your city because it makes it totally obvious. And the only thing they're gonna do is they're gonna SOS you and slaughter you, and then make you, coming in and out. It's the most obvious thing in the world. So you have to, you have to be a little coy on that. You have to be a little sly, and the best way to do that is for you to pretend like you're a goofball and you accidentally dropped the bubble, and don't let anybody teleport next to you. How many times I have said, hey, this is a trap city, and my knucklehead people in my alliance will teleport right next to it. And then they'll start sending troops to it. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're not supposed to be anywhere near this trap. Get away from it. You're making
Yeah,
it too obvious. And
those
then
are the worst.
instead of having 10 people from the other side, 50 people are coming in from the other side, right? So
Yep.
to me, a nice, unsuspecting trap is when, your bubble just drops and you oopsie, and then 10 people show up, and then you have 20 people in the background that are coming in to reinforce.
Yep.
So
guess
don't let people teleport right next to you. It's too obvious.
I guess this is a nice topic if we want to make something like this, but around traps. So another topic
Yeah,
to talk about.
You're talking about like another podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, another session like this,
Yeah.
but focus on traps, since this one was supposed to be formations.
My big thing with talking with everybody, the relative thing is we'll have these podcasts that are lasting 3 or 4 or 5 hours, and then all of our friends are like, I'm not going to listen to 4 hours of podcast.
Yep.
So then they'll say things to me like, tell me at what second it gets good, or tell me at what point it becomes valuable for me to listen to, and I'll listen to that. So I figured I'd try to do a little bit of a podcast with everybody where we talked about what's working for everybody else and what's working for me. And the interesting thing is I think 6 months from now, my best formation is going to change, with all the stuff that they keep throwing into the game. It's changing the formations and what I should be doing. So anyway,
this one was, it came up in a conversation after one of the podcasts between us, but the idea here was to make a smaller podcast, more focused on a specific topic. In this case, we were discussing formations, so we started with formations, but if people like more focused topics, it's something we can do within this podcast with different topics.
I have a little bit of a suggestion. The next time we do this, I'd like to do it on a Thursday, roughly the same time. And then let's get people coming in here showing their attacks where they lost. And then let's all pick our brains about how we can defeat that same target in the mines. And we can laugh and say, there's no way you're going to beat this guy, no matter what formation you got. Or you can change the formation around and then you beat the guy, and then it's a success story. I can't tell you how great it is to be able to help somebody just change their formation by 1,000 troops, just to have 1,000 more gunners or 1,000 more bikes, and then it beats somebody. It kind of makes somebody's day. And then they really get turned on to the idea and understand how much the formation matters. So probably on a Thursday.
Well, what the other thing you could do with that is any success stories in the mines where you battle somebody. Like I don't know how many times I've done it, but I've done it a lot, where I'll battle like 3 or 4 times, and I'll change the formation, and I get a little closer, and I get a little closer, and then I finally beat them, and I'm like,
yes,
boom.
That's what this podcast should be about. This podcast right here should be about that. That right there is going to get people excited. It's going to get people to tune in, and then they're going to start doing it too. They're going to listen to this podcast. They're going to change their formation, and then they're going to have some success, and then they're going to come back the following time, and they're going to share the success story, and then it's going to get people hyped up about changing their formations around. And then guess what? The entire community is going to get better, and the better they get, we're just going to have to heighten our game. Like, a lot of people don't like to share information. I don't get that, because if you share information, the true top 1%ers should always remain at the top 1%. Nothing's going to change, right?
Yep.
But getting the entire community excited about this is only going to make their experience that much better. So I just like sharing. I think sharing the information is probably the better thing to do. Break the cap off of that. And then once we do that, then we'll get people excited. They'll get better at it. And then we'll have a sweeter experience. So let's come back to this podcast. Let's do this again. Bring your failures to the podcast and let's see if we can fix those failures into success stories and then go from there.
Yep. And yes, definitely let's change the day that was a oversight on our side. I didn't remember about the uranium mines. So basically testing became impossible.
These are just the 2 days that work easiest for me, is a Wednesday and a Thursday. So, but yeah, let's do it. Let's do it another time on a Thursday, and then see if people can tune in and bring some of that stuff with them, and then share their screens and see what works and why they got defeated. A lot of my team, I'll put them into Discord, and they'll lose a battle, and I'll say, well, this is why. And they have no idea. They have no idea why they lost. So you have to record the battle, and then I'll just share my screen as I'm pausing it, and then I'll take a picture of it like I just did earlier. And I'll say, this is why you lost. This right here is why you lost. And then they fix it, and then they go back into the battle and they win. And they're like, holy crap! Thanks so much. And they're smarter people. They're smarter formation builders after that. And then that's what makes it fun for me. That and big group battles is particularly kind of the fun thing for me. So
I mean, formations are everything. That's literally, I mean, it makes up for a lot.
Yeah. And I don't think that we do it enough credit to talk about that build. And so if people want to send me messages in Discord showing me battle sequences, if they can record it and send it to me, well, then I can message you back and I can say, well, this is why. And sometimes if I don't have a straight answer, if I don't have a good answer, well, then all I'm going to do is just talk to Just the Tip, or I'm going to talk to Barry, or I'm going to talk to somebody that I think is smarter than me. And that's all we should be doing, is going to the, the Woodies and the Holbrooks and the lead gods and stuff like that, get the information and then share it around so the overall gaming experience gets enhanced. So.
Yeah, that brings me to another topic, since this was the first one as an experiment. If people like this and more people, aside from you, obviously, and thank you very much for sharing with us. But if more people want to come in and also share their views with the community around these topics, just contact me. We can arrange it.
So what's your favorite like mid-range or long-range formation?
Retep, I think the question was for you.
Will you repeat the question?
What's your favorite mid-range or long-range formation? What's your go-to?
My go-to is like 10,000 shredders. Okay,
I think we lost you for a second there. That's a question I can't answer because I never played mid-range before. So,
What's your favorite long-range?
at this point in time, it's basically everything I get, everything I got, because this city doesn't have much, but
Troop auto select. Cross your fingers. If it doesn't work out, get in the
almost,
store.
almost.
Autos. Right.
With this city is almost that. Like I can show you. Like at the moment, I'm with something like this.
All right, I'm sorry. I got it. I'm getting phone calls. My kids are calling me. So you said, what's the go-to formation?
I mean, just
So-
yeah. What would be your go-to in the mind? Like first rip, you haven't seen what you're fighting, but say you don't know them,
So
you're
there's
just
this.
gonna rip it.
So there's this guy that I was playing against in the very beginning of me coming to 737, and he was in my own nation, and he liked to bully me. As soon as we came into the nation, he was stronger than me. Okay. And he would just kick me out of the mines every 4 hours. Every 4 hours, I was out the mines every 4 hours. And so his Titans were stronger than mine. His warplane was stronger than mine. And so I started to play against him in a way where within the first 3 seconds of the match, I would kill his male Titan. And so I lined my formation up in such a way where his Titan, just in 3 seconds, it was tagged and it was down. And he was definitively stronger than me, but I beat him. And I beat him every time. And it got to a point where I beat him, and then on defense, I couldn't beat him, So, like, he would attack me, and then I couldn't beat him, okay? And that formation was 5,000 or 2,000 axes. It had 5,000 shredders, and it had like 180,000 tanks. But again, I'm C-41, and I was competing against a C-41. Okay, and then
Okay.
so it was a 3-3, a 3-3-3. So it was 2,000 axes, and the axes were just there so that way it could make it so that way the tank just came down the line and hit the axe first before it started to go for the other tanks or the shredder,
Yep.
right? But then it got to a point where I couldn't beat the next level up. And so the 3-3-3 was axes, shredder, tank, and then it was 2,000 gunners, and then it was 2,000 havocs, and then it was max zombies, and then it was 5,000 shielders, 10,000 shielders, and then it was cannons, max cannons, and then it was like 2,000 to 3,000 snipers. And that formation, man, I could just smack him around like he was nothing. And it made him so mad because he was definitely a lot stronger than me. And he would send me messages like, how in the world are you doing this? And it was because I was just tweaking my lineup in a way where I was immediately attacking his Titan from the very get. And so now it's like more of a 2-5-3. There's a 2-5. There's a 2-5-3.
That's what I run.
Yeah, so it's shredder tank, so 2 to 5, probably actually 5,000, 10,000 shredders, and then about 200,000 tanks, and then let's just say 2 to 5,000 of the mid range, depending upon what I feel like needs to be tweaked, based off of testing. And then it would be like 2 to 5,000 EMPs, and then 10 to 15,000 shielders, and then max cannons. But I don't bring snipers anymore, and I don't bring axes anymore, because when I'm hitting the next biggest thing, it's lined up in such a way where they'll immediately start attacking my Titans, and that's what you don't want. So you want to test it, and you want to say, okay, well, within the first 3 seconds of the battle sequence, are my Titans getting hit? And are they getting hit hard within the first 3 to 5 seconds? And if they are, that formation sucks. Change it. So that's all I have to say about that.
I mean, I'm a mid ranger, so I have 2 front lines, I got the
That-
front line to protect my mid, and I got the back line to protect my Titans.
Formation
Well, also-
Retep just gave you works for LRA. Do not use that for MRA.
Yeah.
Well,
Now
no,
the 253 is fine, but the quantity of troops that he described,
Oh no,
very
no,
bad
you
for
100
MRA. That's
yeah,
just throwing that out there.
yeah, 100%. Like
You'll lose.
yeah, the
substantially.
numbers are different. Definitely. I mean, I'm rocking, basically whatever my fleet size is, depending on what buff is going and everything else. I'm half and half on my front and then my back, and then everything else is in the middle.
When you say half and half on the front, what do you mean?
So say I got we'll say I'm not boosted, right? Not boosted 476. So I'm gonna take half of that, and I'm gonna then divide that in half, and I'm gonna
So
go
what do you?
front,
So what two front line you're taking?
melee and tanks, or I mean shredders and tanks, and then I'm gonna
And
go.
what's the breakdown? The percentage of that of your half?
It's gonna be about 80-20.
That's
It's gonna
bad.
be
That's what I
well,
was trying to tell you.
Well, no. Well, what I'm saying for tanks and for shredders, because my
Correct.
shredders are stronger than my tanks.
What's your okay? Fair enough. What is your city level? I forgot to ask that. Sorry.
37.
Okay, fair enough. Then that makes sense. So you're using rockets then.
Oh yeah. So then I'm
Okay.
gonna go.
So then, yes, I would tell you you're correct. Your formation is different, and that's one of the things Retap hasn't really. I didn't hear him anyways. At least bring up. City level plays a huge part in your formation. Which ones you use, because you're using my personal favorite, rockets and shredders.
Yeah, and
So
then my back line.
the rule at a 41 mid range would not use an 80-20 front end, because if you did, their
Correct.
cannons would lock onto your havocs and destroy you if they did that. If you ran that percentage.
Correct. Yeah, I don't do that. No. 37. That's what I'm running. And then back line, I'll have cannons, shielders, and then supreme cannons, or EMP cannons. And then my middle line, I'll have everything. But gunners, I'll have the least amount. Havoc, I'll have probably 30 to 40,000, maybe 20 if I'm not boosted. And then
Have you played with 1-1-1 and then put the bulk of it in rockets?
I have not.
Try that. Try not one unit, but 1,000. I'm sorry, 1,000 gunners, 1,000 havocs, 400 or 300 in this case. Probably your fleet's probably smaller, maybe even 250 bikes, and then I would do in the back, because you got your fleet size obviously is different.
Well, I'm 476. I'm 476 non-boosted.
Is that the actual troops, or is that what you're seeing when you're calculating it?
No, 476 is my non-boosted. That's like non-boosted. Like I was in DOD. I'm around 570 boosted.
Yeah, well, yeah, percentage wise, I'm with you on that. I'm just trying to think what to
No,
run
I mean
with that.
troops. I mean troops.
Yeah, how many cannons are you running?
I usually run 15,000, which
Oh.
equals what, 75,000?
So if you're running 15,000, that's 10. You're running 1,500.
No, I'm running.
Because they're 10
No.
spaces each. Are you going by 10 spaces or actual units?
Well, units, because they're 5 each, so it's like
Oh, that's right. I'm
75,000.
sorry. I was thinking EMPs.
Yeah.
So
And that's
you're
why I always
running-
just do. That's always why I say the number instead of just the. I always do it that way, so that way it's never get confused the conversion ratio, whether it's 5 or 10.
Yeah, so 75,000 there. I'll run, another 10,000 Supreme EMPs, and then I'll run like 20,000 of shielders, and then I'll run, usually, actually my front line usually I run. I mean,
How
honestly,
many EMPs? How many
Huh?
EMPs? How many EMPs?
I try to keep those and my shielders pretty close to even.
You don't
So
need that
around
many. Just EMPs is going to be just to stop from what Retap is doing to people, which is killing the Titan. So you want to run with your level, I would say, and I'm referring to your fleet size. I run 750 to 1,000 total units. So I would say for you, probably 500, maybe 600 units tops.
Okay.
So that would be what 600 be 6 times 10. That'd be 6,000 total, I guess.
Okay.
And then for the cannons, I would run. Again, I'm going by your number. I would say 10,000, maybe 12. Well, no, probably less. 11,000, and that divide that by obviously the 5. So what does that number come up to? 5,500.
Yeah.
Or whatever that is. No. Actual units. I'm sorry. Actual units. Cannons. You want 11,000. So in the ticker. And then for your EMP, or not EMPs, your shielders, for you, I would say 3,500, maybe 3,000.
Total.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And those are 10 each, right? Trying to think. It's late at night. So that's 3,000 actual count.
Okay.
Which would be 30,000 in the game per se, space wise. And then I would do, like I said, 1,000, whatever. And then your front line, you're doing. I would still not run that many tanks. How many actual tanks are you running?
Generally around 30 to 40,000 total.
I would still say no. I would say try running, because if you come up against well, I guess it would depend. I would play around with the front line, like you said, 80-20, but then do me a favor and try this. Try 200 tanks, and then use the rest of your 80-20, whatever that was, the total number you were using out of that percentage, and put the rest of it in shredders. And then every single troop you have remaining, put in the rockets. The reason being is your breakthrough with your rockets is huge. So if you dilute that, it's going to hurt them. And remember, you're going against probably 38s predominantly?
I mean, I just destroy 41s.
39s? Yeah.
I just destroy 41s.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, it depends on what they are, of course. But
If
here's
they're
the
not
thing:
a-
rockets
if it's not a
against
max
rockets
41,
against T12 cannons aren't going to work because you can't
I've destroyed 41s that are 1,800 attack, and I'm only a 1,300 attack.
Well, that's the advantage to being an MRA player.
You were just talking about that, Tip. You were just.
I love it.
Yeah, but put the rest
Perfect.
in rockets. Do the 1,000.
I'm gonna try that though. I know what you're saying. I'm gonna test it out. I've never thought about doing that. The only thing I worry about is the only having like one of the other ones. Once they hit that thing, it's gonna boost up their. Once they hit my one troop and kill it.
No. I'm not saying one troop.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm saying 1,000.
Listen, Tip, you got to be careful about this because they don't get that.
Yeah, I
and
understand.
you can't say 1,000 either because your HP is through the roof. You're a total max city. 1,000 troops for you.
I'm referring to the mid-range.
Yes, I understand, but I understand all of that. But what I want to make sure is that the general public understands that Tip is a max city. Tip could probably bring 800 troops, 800 gunners. He could probably bring 500 gunners, and whoever's Titans, male Titan Lightning, could probably attack
that.
Right. So I want to be really careful about I know what you're talking about. So he's saying 1,000 troops, not one, but 1,000. Yes. But you can't bring 1,000 because your HP isn't where it's at. Your defense isn't where it's at. So for the general person,
I'm talking about mid-range troops. I'm not talking about the front line. When I say 1,000, I'm talking about 1,000 gunners.
You're gonna boost their male Titan though. The male Titan, that Thor, is it Thor? The Thor ability. Yes,
Thor
you
and
don't want to.
Weaken.
You don't.
No,
You do not want to boost that.
there's a
And
reason why I'm doing 1,000. Just keep this in mind. Your goal is to get past one lightning, okay? And this is the part that you guys are not taking into the equation. You got to get past one lightning. So if your lightning is every so many seconds, right? So if you can get past one or two
10.
lightnings, that was
Yes.
10, sorry. So that means you can get up to 19 seconds. So all we're trying to get past is that number. Now, when I put 1,000, that's what I'm running. Now you may be able to do 750, but most lightning is still pretty much the same. It kills a certain amount of troops. It doesn't matter your level, to be honest. It's kind of weird.
So Tip is saying what he runs, but when he says 1,000, he's talking about he runs 1,000. You need to run 2,000 because your HP and your defense is smaller. Your reductions are smaller, so you have to compensate for that. So and again, for everybody that's listening, they have to test it so they can go into the uranium mine and say, "Crap, I can bring 1,300 and then I don't get a kill 3 or a kill 2." And when your tips level, then maybe you can bring 500 or 800 or 1,000. So that's
a lot of the stuff I'm referring to isn't just that, though. A lot of the stuff I'm referring to is placement of troops. And like you kind of touched on it a little bit in the beginning because you're trying to kill the Titans.
yeah.
And that's mainly what I'm focused on. I'm trying to get past that breakthrough, and I'm trying to get past that lightning chain.
Yeah.
And that sweet spot seems to be 1,000.
Hey, look, this is Bayou. As a weaker, mid-range city than what we're talking about here, I would experiment with 1,000 to 3,000 on your other mid-range troops, and you'll find the sweet spot. And you just want to get past that first lightning strike.
Yep.
That's all we're trying to do.
Correct.
I agree.
And I don't have high mid-range HP. Keep this in mind. I know you keep saying
a little
HP.
bit.
My mid-range AP is not like through the roof.
Okay. Sure.
Well, only saying that because you have a max plane, you have max maintenance. So the average person.
Well, nobody has a max plane.
But everything's relative. Everything's relative though, because I'm fighting bigger players. He's fighting players his size or a little bigger. You know what I mean? So everything's relative. Keep that in mind.
Right.
So the formation that I was suggesting earlier was for the general public, but just understand the tougher you get, the more stout you become, the lesser of those filler quantity troops you can bring and get away with. And Tip's he doesn't realize he's bragging, but he's kind of bragging about how tough he is by the fact that he doesn't need to bring that many and still get the job done.
Yeah, so I've always recommended to my squad that we use, really between 2,000 and 4,000 for your any kind of filler troop, just so you don't get that first smack. Because once you start boosting their Titan, that Titan, it's over.
Group attacks? Are we talking uranium?
I'm talking uranium. Just straight. I'm just straight talking uranium. Yeah, I mean group attacks is completely different.
Do me a favor, whoever I was telling to, try the 1,000, then try 15, and then try 2,000.
Yeah,
and let me know the results you get. I'm willing to bet you I'm still right, and that the 1,000 is probably the best.
Yeah, I'm gonna try the rocket thing, dude. We'll see what happens.
I want you to come to this next podcast. The next time we do this formation thing, I want you to bring that test to the table, so that way Tip's here, I'm here, and we can all see the proof, because that's where this is going to get pretty valuable, is where we can see the proof in it.
And just to be clear, put the difference in the troops in rockets. As you scale it down, take from rockets. As you increase, take from rockets. Either give or take from rockets.
Okay. I'll test it out. Yep.
That's exciting. Okay, so there's another formation that I'm coming up against, and it's a 2-2-2 build.
Ooh.
And it's just it's shredders, tanks, and then it's Havocs. It's like Havocs, max zombies, and then shielders and cannons.
Are they LRA or the MRA?
They're LRA, of course.
He said, of course. And you're
And
LRA.
yeah, so I'm attacking an LRA, and they're LRA, and I'm doing a 253, and they're doing a 222. And if I match his fleet, then I do a lot better. But if I do a 253, he gets me. He gets me pretty good.
Try a 353, and it should work.
A 353.
Yes. One of the
With-
things that you didn't change, you talked about it a little bit. Depending on what the opponent runs, the biggest
Yeah.
thing you need to change isn't really the back line or the front or the middle. It's the front. You want to go from 2 to 3 to 4.
Yeah, and
Armored soldiers are unbelievably underrated. Those things are, I would, with that 222, I would probably do 4, 5, and 3. I would take
Interesting.
armored soldiers with you, and it would probably tear him up.
I'll
Run
try
about
that
eight
out.
to 9,000. What's your fleet size?
Oh, like
Unbuffed. Unbuffed.
Maybe 523.
Oh, damn. Okay, so you're high. So yeah, I would take 10 to 12,000 armored soldiers.
Okay, I'll try that. And so that 222. I mean, it. Interestingly enough, the Havocs stay alive a little bit longer than I thought they would. He brings like 10,000 Havocs, and they stay
but when you
stay
take
alive
when you take the 453, your cannons are going to go after his Havocs, and he's going to regret doing that.
So to make a long story short, every formation, every person's formation, like Archie, I fought Archie the other night, and he was coming in with 4 frontline too. I was expecting him to be a 253, but he wasn't.
He's LRA.
Yeah, and he's got he's got a 4, and maybe he was being lazy, or maybe he was just trying something new.
He was running a 4 what? What was he running?
I think it was a 453, if I remember correctly.
Then your formation should be better. 253 was better.
Well, that guy's on. Yeah. Well,
but there's a strength difference there probably as well.
Right. He's got maxed. I've got like 39, 38 Titans, and I'm trying to beat people with 41, 42 Titans.
I mean, he's not 41, 42. Isn't he 45, 45, 55?
He's 45. He's 40. Yeah, but the thing is I like to just go in there and tap on people and just kind of test it, So I'll go to Archie and I'll go to Woody, I'll go to these different people to kind of see where I'm at, I'd rather do that there than in Void,
Yeah.
Man floor.
So, the formations, when you're trying to attack somebody in the uranium mines, sometimes it's just 1,000 troops that does the difference.
Well, I just posted what I normally rock.
What's wrong? A bit too hard?
I'm showing it.
That's a C41.
You don't have any mid range?
No, that's the other guy.
Oh, it's making it easy.
Yeah.
What's your city level?
I'm a 37.
Oh, wow. You got nice Titans for 37.
Thank you.
Damn. There's a lot of 41s don't have that.
and he's a trap city. He's talking about boosting up his Kingsley. So and he's got the right 6 stars for it. I think that would be hilarious to have monster Titans,
It would be good, but I mean, don't waste it on the Kingsley unless you've got everything else maxed. That's all I would say. That's for screw off money.
That's what everybody keeps telling me.
Yeah, don't do that. If you're going to do that, you might as well make the investment and be a melee build. You know what I mean? That's what you're basically asking them to do.
You know what's funny? I started as a melee build.
I mean, yeah, that's just ungodly expensive.
All right.
Yeah, but who the fuck's really on a budget here?
99.9% of the game.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, none of us are over here manipulating formations for any of those guys.
Hey, I think it's more fun when an LRA player uses MRA troops and an MRA player uses LRA troops. That's what makes it fun.
All right, guys. I think I'm gonna close it for today. Thank you, everyone, for coming and for your input. Keep your eyes open. We'll do this again, just in a different day. We'll announce it in the meantime.
Yeah, thank you to all the hosts or the host and guests. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for joining. You guys have a great night.